Welcome, folks, to Crypto News Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka. On today's show, Mara announces over $100 million in Bitcoin mined in May alone, 2025. U.S. military leadership to back Bitcoin strategic reserve, says Senator Lummis. Also, U.S. President Donald Trump's social media firm Truth Social to launch their own spot Bitcoin ETF. We're also going to conclude some information about running your own personal and private AI model at home. We were downloading it yesterday, but it was a huge 67 gig model, and I want to just go through and compare the standard 5 gig model compared to this 67 gig beast and show you that maybe it's a little more precise, but the disadvantage is you are sitting and waiting for this thing to complete. It takes forever. We're going to go through this first so we finish up from yesterday's stories, and then we're going to get into some Bitcoin Market Watch technical analysis, followed by our stories of the day. All this and so much more on today's show. Welcome, folks, to Crypto News Global. I'm your host, Nick Toka. Today is June 3rd, 2025. Let's get right into our conclusion from yesterday's comparison for local AI models. We talked a lot about AI comparing the best to the worst, and my recommendation was also to test out a local model. So where we left off yesterday, we had downloaded about 50% of this 67 gig AI Ollama model. So it finished up yesterday, and I ran it. I ran a search on it, and it's slow as shit. But I'd like to show you guys that running a local model can be advantageous because you are not sending out any information at all outside of your computer. In fact, you can unplug your network card or your Wi-Fi, and your AI will still give you the answers you want because it's all actually right here on your box. Now, I'm not going to unplug now because that's going to disconnect the feed, but tested and confirmed, you still get the same result whether you're plugged into the web or not. So you can use AI privately in this method. Let me show you my other screen here, and I can go full screen. So where we left off, I was talking about Ollama and talking about Jan.ai and how you can actually get your own AI model, full AI model to run on your computer. And we tested out a couple of them. We tested out Jan, and we also tested out Ollama. I showed you guys how to quickly install this thing. It only took a couple seconds. If you want the full install, it's in my one of my previous shows a couple of months ago, and also for the web GUI if you wanted. But ideally, you don't even go with that web GUI stuff. You can just run it right in PowerShell. It's the easiest and least invasive way to do anything. So if you see on my screen here, we've got everything, all the models that I have already downloaded. And to get those, you just go to ollama.com. And first of all, you download Ollama. Secondly, you simply get whatever model you want from this web page. Literally, like, you can keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and all the historical models and all the new models are all here. So I went ahead and installed Ollama 4, which is Fuckbook, better known as Facebook. model. And so back to my screen here. We ran a quick search yesterday, and to run, so Ollama list brings you all your models that you had installed. If you just type Ollama, it'll give you all the commands, right? You can remove very easily any of these models that you had previously installed if you want to save some disk space, or if you tested it and it's just not for you, by all means you can just dump it, right? Ollama RM, and then type the name of the model. So for example, Ollama RM, and then exactly which one. So let's say I wanted to get rid of Mistral, which I'm not going to. I copy that, I paste it in here and hit that command, and it'll remove it off your computer, saving you your, in this case, 4.1 gigs, right? But what we really wanted to do was compare the small model to the massive 67 gig one that I downloaded. So let's put the same search into both. So we're going to go Ollama, then Ollama run, then we're going to paste what I just copied. So that is going to then run this model, which is Ollama 3.1 latest, which it was the latest then, but it's not anymore now. The one I grabbed yesterday, Llama 4. So this was 3.1. And there we go. Pretty quickly it loads up. And let's just type predict the price of Bitcoin. And it's probably not going to give us an answer. So, but I find if you just put in hypothetically predict the price of Bitcoin, this 4-year Bitcoin cycle, right? You'll see bang, like talk about fast, right? Flying through here. And it comes back with pretty damn reasonable response, late 2024, and let's, prices might correct and consolidate around 128. So it's predicting 250 to 300 grand or higher mid 2024, which it's calling this cycle peak. Interesting. All right, so let's get rid of that one, and let's do the same with Ollama, and this time we're not going to run the version 3.1. We want to run version the 67 gig full model. So let's just get rid of that, paste in this one, and you'll see right away, as fast as the previous model ran, the 3.1, which is 4 point whatever gigs, 4.9 gigs, you saw how fast it loaded up, right? Now this one, see, interestingly enough, Ollama run, okay, let's try that again. Error. Yesterday it worked fine. Okay, let's just exit out of here completely. Interesting. Let's open it up again. And Ollama list, because I can't remember these weird names. And then Ollama run. Let's try this big one again. Maybe I had an extra character. Paste it in, and let's see what we get this time. Again, error. Interesting. So yesterday, right after I downloaded it, I did a little testing, and it worked slow, like nothing close to the speed of the Ollama 3.1. Basically, I put in a question, and it literally took like 2 minutes just to start, maybe a minute, to actually start running the response. And then it was like click, 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 really slow, like an old typewriter kind of thing coming across. And for me, it's just not ideal. We're all used to typing something into ChatGPT or Grok, and you get the answer within seconds. So I was not surprised, but not really happy about how long it was taking. Now, I'm even less happy now that this thing is not even running. So a bit of a pisser. I really wanted to show it, show the speed difference, and I wanted to do the comparison in terms of the info in there. So let's move that over. Why won't it? So let's just Llama 4. There it is. And so I took the smallest one, right? Llama 4 latest shit. Llama 4 16, 17. Maybe that's my problem. So I'm going to start downloading that now. Again, it might not end up finishing. So what we'll do is we will, for real, go Llama, remove, RM, remove, Llama, blah, blah, blah. I want to save my 60 whatever gigs. So this should start to actually delete it. While that's happening, in the background, oh, there we go, fast. And I've confirmed it actually gets rid of it off your drive. So Llama list, and you see that it's gone. So now I saved my 67 gigs. It deletes pretty quickly. Let's go then with Llama get, I believe is the command. So let's just type Llama to see what the command is, just to be sure. Llama push a model to a registry. Llama get, I thought, was the command. Show, create, serve, start a Llama, create a model from show, run a model, stop a model, pull a model from the registry. Yeah, that's what we want. So it's going to be Llama pull, and then we want this exact name here. So it's got a little copy button. We will utilize that. Llama pull, and you see that it's starting to actually grab it. Again, this is going to take a while. While that's happening, let's get right into our Bitcoin market watch and technical analysis. We've got Bitcoin sitting even at 105,500. Ethereum, again, even 26.14. Solana down 2.5%, 156 bucks. XRP down, up 2% to $2.25. Doge up, down 1%, 19.5 cents. Taking a look at the crypto bubbles to get a good visual perspective on the market. We have about a 50-50 mix for today. Maker up 8%, Sky up 8.5%, White down 13%, Fartcoin down 10%. And we're seeing that there's not really much of a movement on the market. 10% up or down in crypto is not that much. Zooming out to the weekly, we've got White Rock up 147%, but about 80 to 90% in the red for the week. Zooming out to the monthly, we've got about 80% in the green for the month, including SPX up 116%, White Rock 188%, Hype 80%, WIF 75%. Taking a look at the market cap, we've got Bitcoin at a market cap of 2.1 trillion bucks, Ethereum 315 million, XRP 132 billion, Ethereum in the billion as well, 315 billion, Solana 81 billion, Doge 29 billion, Tron 25 billion, Cardano 25 billion, Hype 12 billion. The total crypto market cap sitting at 3.27 trillion bucks, with Bitcoin holding 64% of that, Ethereum holding 9.6%, and XRP holding 4% even. Looking at the M2 money supply, we still see that Bitcoin trailing 90 days behind. behind the M2 money supply. We see there's the M2 price at March 2nd. So April, May, June. So we literally are 80, we're June 3rd today, right? So 3 months exactly. And the price is really, really following each other. We've got 21 central banks, largest banks from around the world, is the M2 money supply with the pink and the Bitcoin price in white. Looking at the hash rate, we see after hitting a new hash record high of 920 billion terahashes, it's now dropped a little bit to still 920 billion terahashes is what it shows, but you can see in the chart it's dropped a tiny bit along with the price of the Bitcoin. Crypto Fear and Greed Index shows us we are at a 57 in neutral. Yesterday was 58 neutral. Last week a 68 in greed. There are 1,043 days left until the next Bitcoin halving in 2028, with 150,000 blocks until the halving. Total assets by market cap. We've got gold sitting at $22.8 trillion. Nvidia at 3.4 trillion, Microsoft 3.4 trillion, Apple 3 trillion, Amazon 2.1 trillion, Bitcoin 2.1 trillion, Google 2 trillion, silver 1.9 trillion, Meta 1.6 trillion, as Saudi Aramco 1.6 trillion as well. You can currently get 947 satoshis for 1 fiat US dollar. The US national debt clock keeps on humming. Current U.S. national debt, $36.933 trillion, equaling $107,829 per U.S. citizen, or $323,051 per U.S. taxpayer. Doge has saved the good old U.S. $507 billion since inception, which is $4,515 per U.S. taxpayer. Let's check out our model being downloaded. We're only at 8 gigs, so this is going to take a while to complete. 8 out of 67 gigs, but that is a-okay. Good things come to those who wait. And speaking of waiting, Mara, they've waited to get this big, but now they are just massive. And Mara announces over $100 million in Bitcoin mined just in May of 2025. Today, Mara Holdings, which is MARA on the NASDAQ, recorded a record high month of Bitcoin production in May 2025, mining 950 Bitcoin worth over $100 million at the time writing. A 35% increase from April and the highest monthly output since April 2024 halving event. Mara did not sell any Bitcoin in May, and they did very well in not selling it. I agree with that 100%. May was a record-breaking month for Mara with 282 blocks won, a 38% increase over April and a new monthly high, said Chairman and CEO of Mara, Fred Thiel. Our total Bitcoin holdings surpassed 49,000 Bitcoin during May, and the 950 Bitcoin produced were the most since the halving event of 2024. The company mined 282 blocks during the month, a 38% rise over the previous month, and now holds just over 49,000 Bitcoin, worth roughly $5.23 billion. Our fully integrated tech stack is a key differentiator, and Mara Pool is the only self-owned and operated mining pool among public miners, offering greater control and efficiency, stating Thiel. Operating our pool means no fees to external operators and retention of full value block rewards. Production in May also benefited from block reward luck. Since launch, Mara's pool block reward luck has outperformed the network average of over 10%, contributing to our industry-leading block production. Operational efficiency also improved, with energized hash rate rising 2% from 53 exahashes per second to 58 exahashes per second. Mara's average daily Bitcoin production hit 30 8.7 Bitcoin, which is 31% more than last month of April. So they are raking it in. U.S. military leadership to back Bitcoin strategic reserve, says Senator Lummis. The senator's comments addressed the tensions between the U.S. and China, citing U.S. generals based in Southeast Asia. U.S. Senator Lummis has indicated that certain divisions within the American military are backing the idea of a national Bitcoin reserve to address threats from economic war. During a Bloomberg interview on June 3rd, Lummis said that some U.S. generals, especially those based in Southeast Asia, support the idea of a strong BTC, storing BTC as a part of a strategic geopolitical move. All we need to do is look at the leadership of the current U.S. military to find support for a strategic Bitcoin reserve, Lummis said, adding, there are generals, especially in Southeast Asia, who believe it's important to have strategic Bitcoin stockpile because we're doing an economic war with China and we have to prepare for a guns and bullets war. We need both. Cointelegraph reached out to the Department of Defense for comment but did not receive a response by the time of publication. Her remarks came during a segment about tensions between China and the United States, and the country has been at the center of the Trump administration's trade wars. Trump's tariffs initially applied to most of U.S. trading partners, but the administration later suspended many of them except those targeting China. The two nations eventually reached a temporary trade deal, easing tensions. Trump has been vocal about making the U.S. the world capital of crypto in his second term at the White House. If we don't do it, China is going to pick up and China is going to have it. Or somebody else, but most likely China, he told Bloomberg while campaigning in 2024. China has implemented a comprehensive ban on crypto activity since 2021, while still betting on blockchain technology to power projects such as its central bank digital currency, the digital yuan. Speaking at the Bitcoin 2025 on May 28th, Vice President Vance emphasized the geopolitical importance of Bitcoin. According to him, the U.S. must sustain its leadership in crypto industry to remain competitive in the new digital financial landscape. And I agree with that 100%. Speaking of President Trump, Trump's Truth social media firm to launch spot Bitcoin ETF. NYSE ARCA, an arm of the New York Stock Exchange, submitted paperwork with the Securities Exchange Commission on Tuesday. New York Stock Exchange ARCA, which is part of the New York Stock Exchange, has filed paperwork with the Securities Exchange Commission, SEC, to launch a fund issued by President Trump's media company Truth Social. On Tuesday, the exchange filed a 19B4 document with the SEC for a fund that would track the price of Bitcoin, similar to the already existing spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds that started January of last year. The filing was made on behalf of crypto asset manager Yorkville America Digital, which is a partner of Trump's media and technology group, the owner of Truth Social. The custodian for the funds is approved. If approved, would be Forrest Dax Trust Company, which also serves as the custodian for Crypto.com's assets. A 19.4 filing is required to be filled by self-regulatory organizations to propose a rule change. A second document by the issuer, called the S1, is also required to make the proposal official. The fund would trade under the name Truth Social Bitcoin ETF, according to the filing. Yeah, so that's pretty interesting news, and I hope it definitely comes through to fruition. The more companies and big-time companies that go into Bitcoin, the better, right? Now, I wonder if there's going to be an outflows from BlackRock into Truth Social ETF. That would be interesting. Now, getting back to our Olema full 67 gig install. Again, I'm going to have to pick it up tomorrow. It's only 17 gigs of 67 since we started, 26%, as you see here. And there's actually, even though it's like a PowerShell DOS-based thing, there's actually still a installation bar. It's much more than just DOS, PowerShell. You can run a lot of commands. You can run Python. I was running a script that I created with the help of AI and Python to buy and sell crypto from an exchange automatically, and to buy when the price was low and sell when the price was high. It wasn't as successful as I was hoping, so I kind of stopped, but I worked on that for a little while, and it was running frickin' beautifully, but it just wasn't making money. It was sitting even or even lost, so I might make changes to it, but I found I had more success in myself buying the dip, buying low, selling high, buying low, selling high, a couple times a day with, little shit coins, using maybe 1% of, most people's money, including myself. You want to be in Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, and then, take a chance on some other little shit coins, but don't mess around with your big money, your life savings with this shit coinery. I would definitely not suggest anything like that for anybody. You could lose your shirt and lose everything you've got. But, putting 2, 3, 5% is and might be a good idea for most people because, risk reward, right? No pain, no gain. There's so many analogies you can use, but effectively, sometimes the bigger risk you take, the bigger gain you're going to get. So we will pick up the Ollama full 67 gig model testing tomorrow, because it's going to take quite some time. Folks, always remember that money is abundant, money is everywhere. The show is all about financial literacy, so please do go through the books, the free audiobooks I've got in the show notes below, and hopefully you spend some time listening to these things, and they will pretty much guaranteed put you in a much better financial position. And even if you don't follow the recommendations from these books, you'll at least know a lot more than, probably more than 98% of the people out there. So it's going to help you and your family be more prosperous for sure. One of the basic things is, of course, spend less money than what you earn. And also, if you start making more money, start saving more money. Don't start spending more money, and start saving today. Hopefully when you're young, in your late teens or early 20s, and you can retire when you're 40 or 45, right? That is the way to do it. If you've got a great idea, start with that idea right away. Don't wait for tomorrow. Even if you're not ready, start today, and things will come together for you. Hopefully you found this stream very enjoyable and informative. If you haven't done so, please do subscribe to the channel. It definitely helps with the algorithm and grow the channel. Also, be sure to share, like, and comment, and we will see you on the next stream, folks. Thank you so much for joining.